I have always dreamed of moving to London, and that dream is finally coming true. And it's not because I married Harry Styles like I thought I would at 13, but because I got into grad school. I decided to apply for a master's degree over a year ago, a master's degree in environment and sustainable development, and I landed on a few programs, mostly in London. And back in February, I got into one. I got into a program at London School of Economics, which is just shocking, and I really can't believe it still. I applied to a few schools besides London School of Economics, but ended up at LSE because it was the best program that I got into. I was rejected, trust me. And in this video, I'm going to talk about my application process, go through the documents you need, the personal statement, the financial element, and the decision to go, right? So if you're interested in going to a master's degree in the UK and in London most specifically, keep watching because I've got a ton of information for you that's going to help you guys move to London with me so we can meet our future British partners. Let's fingers crossed, let's think positive. The first step of the whole application for grad school process is selecting the programs and universities that you want to apply to. So how did I do that? I basically am a Google research master, okay? So I knew that I was interested in environment and sustainable development, right? So that is the number one thing you need to know. What kind of degree are you interested in? First of all, do you want it to be a 1-year program or a 2-year program? That's a basic. Do you want to go to an MBA? Do you just want to do a master's? Do you want an MSc? All of that stuff, decide on that. And then obviously the subject you need to decide on. So I was interested in environment and sustainable development. It's not called that everywhere. So if you're interested on a subject that isn't called the exact same thing everywhere, you need to learn the attributes of it. So if you're interested in, some sociology, and for some reason that's not called sociology at every single school, make sure, you can understand what it'll be called so you can look out for that. Okay, and then basically I started looking into different universities based on location, prestige, I guess, and cost, and I decided my factors. So you need to decide what your factors are. If you really want to go to a school in London, then obviously look for schools in London. If you're more flexible and you want to look at the greater UK, maybe you want to look in mainland Europe, then you have some more research to do, okay? And I just started Googling away. And there's a few things I found out about grad schools in the UK. Number one, there's a group of schools and universities called the Russell Group, which I had never heard of. And to me as an American, it kind of equates to like the Ivy Leagues. I think it's a bit looser of a term than that, but it's this group of universities that's like certified by the Russell Group. And those universities tend to have better name recognition and just overall prestige in the UK. So I decided to focus my efforts on Russell Group universities. So some of those universities are like King's and UCL and LSE, and those are some of the ones I applied to. Other factors were cost. So looking into what universities have scholarships, which ones are cheaper, which ones are more expensive. That's another one. Looking at student experience, right? If a bunch of people are saying that this university is crap, maybe don't go there. I went into some Reddit rabbit holes. Just kind of decide what things are important to you and do your research based on that. After I did a bunch of initial research, during which I made a spreadsheet, because trust me, you need to make a spreadsheet when applying for a master's program because you will forget university programs. So I made a spreadsheet and there was one column that was like city, one column that was university name, one column that was program name, and I had all the links. And then I would do like my initial interest based on a little preview. I'd do like, 4 out of 5, 5 out of 5. 2 out of 5. I kept track of all of this as I was doing my research, okay? And then based on basically my initial preference and some information, cost, how long it was, blah, 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 some notes I made, then I went back and decided which universities to apply to. I think you should apply to between 4 and 7 for a master's program. That's just based off of some of my own research and just how much it costs and how long each things take. Because you don't want to apply to so many that you kind of skimp on applications, but you don't want to apply to too few that you risk not getting into any. Okay, so that's generally the idea. So first things first, select your programs and pick which ones you're going to apply to. Great. Now that you got that out of the way, we can talk about the actual application process. Let's start with the typical application timeline, okay? So you can know when to apply and when to start collecting these documents and writing the statements and everything. So typically they open in November or actually October to November of the fall so that you can start the next year. So like almost a full year in advance, the applications open. Now a lot of the applications don't close until the spring or even June. Some of them don't close to July, I think. I think it kind of depends on how hard the programs are to get into. So I personally applied for the programs I applied to in November and December. I was completely done by Christmas. That was my goal, that I wanted to be finished with all of my applications by the holiday season, and I was. So I applied actually for LSE on November, I have it right here. I applied on November 18th of 2023, and I heard back on February 5th of 2024. And that's like kind of a typical timeline. So if you apply, it takes between, I don't know, 8 to 12 weeks to hear back. It depends on the university, they'll tell you a specific timeline. But generally, you want to be thinking about applying in the summer/fall. You apply in the fall/winter, and you hear back in the winter/spring, okay, to start in the next fall. So pretty typical for college and university applications. So what do you need for your application? You're going to need a few things. You need your university transcripts, so your undergraduate transcripts, right? You're applying for a master's program. So I had my transcript ready. I needed 2 references. So that meant I had to go back to my university professors who I hadn't talked to in like 3 years and be like, hi, remember me? I'm Lily. I'm applying to grad school. I'm reaching out to you because of X, Y, and Z. Would you please write me a reference for grad school? And that's what I did. I had 2 professors. One was my advisor. One was a professor I just had a few times that I had a good relationship with. And what I would do is on the applications, it would have a part for references. So it didn't make them write it, send it to me, and then I submitted it. No. It went directly to them, cut out the middleman. So I would just put in their email, their title, and that was it. And then click submit, and then they would get an email and they'd go and fill it out, okay? So I have no idea what they wrote about me. I'm assuming it was positive because I got in, but you will need to reach out to your references, ask if they'll write a reference for you, tell them sort of your timeline, say thank you, hear back from them. So that is the first thing I did in my application process. I started applying right in November. I reached out to them end of September. So I gave myself like 6 weeks to hear back and make sure I had references. Because if either of them had said no, I would have had to go to another person. Give yourself some time for the references. Okay, you have the references, you have the transcript. You also need a CV, and more specifically, an academic CV. Based on my research of applying to grad school in the UK, you want to have your CV tailored a certain way. And let's just go over my CV right now. So I have my CV right here, okay? It says my name, it has my phone number, it has my email, okay? And then I have an initial paragraph about my research interests, okay? And basically saying what I'm interested in and why I want to go to this program. I mentioned the program by name. Here's what I wrote. My research and learning goals focus on how business and innovation projects can advance society towards a more sustainable future. I want to explore questions I developed in my undergraduate career about how society can grapple with capitalism and climate change at the same time through environmental development and innovation. I believe that by studying an Environment and Development MSc at London School of Economics, I will be able to explore those questions more and make an impact in my field with my career after. Okay, so you write an initial paragraph, and then the rest of it is kind of basic resume stuff. One thing I did include was research experience from university. So I mentioned 2 classes I took in undergrad and some papers I wrote during them. I mentioned honors and awards, which for me was like that I got magna cum laude in college. And then I did a page on professional experience. I don't have a ton of professional experience, so I wouldn't be super worried about that. And my experience is not at all related to environment and development. Right? I didn't study environmental anything in undergrad. I took a few classes on the subject, but I don't think that's necessary at all. I think they try to have a really diverse group of people. So maybe people that did study the topic you're interested in and the people that didn't. So if you didn't study the topic you're interested in, don't be worried. You can definitely get into it. You're just gonna have to spin your experience a certain way, which is what I did in this resume. I took all of my experience and interests and kind of just spinned it in a way that made it show that it would apply to environment and development. So you can do that with anything you're interested in, the program you're interested in, just spin your experience towards that, okay? So you've got your references, your CV, your transcript. Now, the big part of the application that I think is the most critical part of the application is your personal statement. So we're gonna go over what to include in your personal statement and a little bit of what I included to make sure it stands out but is also what they're expecting, you know? Your personal statement, depending on the school, each school gives different requirements, is between 1 to 2 pages. And the difference between a personal statement for a grad school in the UK and applying for undergrad in America, which is what I am used to, is your personal statement is a bit drier. When I applied to undergrad in America, you write like a college essay, and it's kind of more of like a creative writing topic about your life. Like you pick a topic and you go in about it and kind of try to show them who you are. This, I feel like, is more professional. So in your personal statement, you should cover a few things. I'm just gonna look at my notes during this portion because this is important. Okay, this is important, you guys. Generally, in the 1 to 2 pages, you need to cover a few things. Why you want to go to the school, what you plan to do with that education, how you are qualified, how you will contribute to the university, and how the university will help you. Okay, that might sound a little confusing, but you'll get used to it. You want it to be a very clear order, basically going, this is why I'm interested, this is how I'm qualified, okay? This is what I want to learn at your university. This is how I will contribute and how you will contribute to me. That's not how you say contribute, but you know, it's contribute. I can never say the word, but you get what I mean. So let's just go over my personal statement that I wrote for LSE, which is the school that I got into. And then you can decide yours. Obviously, all of this you'll want to tailor to you, to the programs you're interested in, to your experience. But this is how I start. You do a thing at the top. You go this and this, okay? You have headings, no title. There's just headings and then a dear sir or madam. Inspired by my profound passion for sustainable development, I am applying to the MSc in Environment and Development at the London School of Economics for the autumn entry of academic year 2024. So off the top, you need to go, I'm applying for this program at your university for this time of entry. Right off the top, in all of your essays, you need to do that immediately. This program, this university, this time of entry, okay? And then I included the fluff of inspired by my profound passion for sustainable development. You don't have to, maybe just do like, start with a tiny bit of fluff and then go straight into it. Then I go into my experience. I go, with a diversified background in international relations and Spanish from my university where I graduated magna cum laude with a GPA of 3.8 out of 4.0, I'm eager to embark on a valuable academic journey at LSE. So I included like some fluffy language, and then I go into my inspiration for why I want to go there. Every day there is much said about sustainable development and the environment by governments, businesses, and individuals. Unfortunately, much of this discourse lacks the necessary depth or motivation and results in minimal progress towards environmental goals. I am seeking admission to the Environment and Development MSc at LSE because I am enthusiastic about contributing meaningfully to the urgent sustainability issues facing our society. Yada, yada, yada. Okay? And then I go, specifically, I aim to work at the intersection of business and sustainability, focusing on green energy. Okay? So I basically just went into why I want to go there and specifically why I want to go there. Okay? And then I go into why I am experienced for this position. Okay? I go into the courses I've taken that are applicable, my work experience that's applicable. Okay? I won't read you that because it's boring. I go into why I have much more to learn. So I say I touched on certain elements of environment, climate change, and development in my education and professional experience, but I also recognize that I have gaps in my knowledge, and my desire to address these gaps and explore the intersection of development and climate impact led me to pursue this program, basically, okay? And then I say, if awarded the opportunity to study at LSC, I will pursue answers to the questions, yada yada. I mention specific courses that I'm interested in taking. So this is the part where I'm going, what they'll give me, basically what this opportunity will give me. So what questions I have that I want answered, what courses I want to take, blah, blah, blah. And then I say like how I will contribute to the university and then to the greater world after doing this program. So I go into what my career is hopefully going to be after I do this program. I aim to work at the intersection of business and sustainability. I want to learn how to best use business and innovation projects to advance society towards a sustainable future. I envision my career as a project manager at a green energy company. So I went a little specific. You don't have to go that specific. Like if you don't know what you want your career to look like after graduation, totally fine. I went specific because I thought it would be helpful, like to just paint a picture of who I am and what I want, but I don't think that's necessary. And then I kind of just wrap up and I reiterate why I want to go to this program at this university and yada, yada, yada. And I go, thank you for considering my application. Sincerely, Lily. Okay? So that is a personal statement. Once again, I reiterate what you want to include essentially is why you want to go to the school, how you are qualified, what you plan to do with the education, and how you will contribute to the university and how they'll contribute to you. Once again, I can't say contribute, okay? But that's basically it. I can include kind of more in below. I'll just write out those things below so you can have that as a reference. But yeah, your personal statement is very important. Do not skimp on it. Make sure to thoroughly make sure that you're putting the right university one in the right application. I'm pretty sure I made a mistake, and with one of mine, I accidentally put one university where I was actually applying to another university. Yeah, that is a critical mistake. Do not make that mistake. Make sure, because you're going to be writing, anywhere between 3 and 7 of these, and most of them will be pretty similar, right? What I did personally is I wrote just a generic one where I would do like underlines of insert university here, insert program name here, insert class name here, blah, blah, blah. And then for each university, I made a new document and I tailored it to each one based on the page length requirements, the classes, anything. That's what I did. So make sure that you're putting the right personal statement in the right application. Okay? So I think we covered the personal statement. Now let's move on to something very important, which is finances and financing your degree. So I'm not gonna lie, I don't think I'm like the #1 expert on this because I just don't have a ton of experience with applying for loans or scholarships. But when you're applying for your degrees, applying at these universities, you should also be looking into loan options and scholarship options for them. This is one mistake I made. I didn't realize how many scholarships options there were available, and I didn't really apply to them because I wasn't sure I was gonna get in anywhere. And then by the time I got in, a lot of those scholarship deadlines had passed. So there's a lot of scholarships that you actually need to apply to before you even get into the universities, right? So that's kind of annoying. But look into scholarships. Like my undergraduate college have a scholarship for people pursuing master's degrees in Europe. Maybe yours does. There are, Fulbright scholarships. Those are more intense. Each university has their own scholarship program. So look into scholarships. Look into loans, okay? You can get a federal US loan to go to a university in the UK or Europe, yada yada. Student loans, that is the unfortunate reality. And then kind of financial aid. So there's a bunch of different options. There's a ton of information on each university website. Make sure to look into that. And I do know that besides loans and scholarships, yada yada, that in the UK when you have a student visa, you get to work 20 hours a week legally. So you can get a part-time job there. I work as a freelancer online, so I'll continue to do that work just on the side. It's part-time to fund my life there basically. But yeah, that's how you finance basically: scholarships, loans, part-time work, and then savings. anything left. So once you get into the school, amazing. Congratulations, you got into the school. You went through that whole process, yada, yada, yada. Now you just need to figure out your visa and your accommodation, okay? Your visa, pretty straightforward process. I had to apply online, go to an appointment in person to get my fingerprints and my photo taken. I sent it in to the larger visa office and then I got it back, okay? The visa was pretty straightforward and easy. I actually have a whole vlog about it that you can check out where I got my visa to move to London, so check that out. Great. The other thing you need to figure out is accommodation. You have a few options. You can either get a private accommodation, as in look for an apartment or room in an apartment yourself, or do student accommodation. I decided to do student accommodation because I just didn't want to get to London early and look for private accommodation. I thought that any money I would save in doing private accommodation, I would spend looking for apartments, as in getting to London really early. So I just decided to do student accommodation. I'm doing it for 9 months, and then after those 9 months, I'll look for an apartment because my program is 12 months, but I think I'm gonna stay beyond that. So I kind of want to find where I want to live in London during my first 9 months, figure out which neighborhoods I like, all of that, and then get an apartment based on that at the 9 months. So you can choose between student and private accommodation, up to you. Student is typically like maybe a little more expensive, but it's in better locations and you don't have to look for it. Okay, I hope this video was helpful and that you can take all of my advice and have your application process go really smoothly. If you have any questions, comment them below. And just let me reiterate that if I can do this process, you can. It is really as simple as making a list and checking all the boxes over time. Really, it wasn't a difficult process. It just required a bit of focus. Okay, I did this while working, while traveling. It's very doable. You can do it and get into a grad school. I wish you guys all luck. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe. It really helps me out. And I wish you luck and that I see you next year in the UK or London or Europe or wherever you decide to go to grad school. I'm sure it'll be amazing. Thanks.